are sitting in a room full of people. You are physically present. You nod at the right times. You smile when social convention demands it. You offer the expected pleasantries. But behind your eyes, you are miles away. You are watching the scene unfold before you, not as a participant, but as an observer. It is as if there is a sheet of thick, imperceptible glass separating your true self from the chaotic reality of the world. You see them, but they cannot quite touch you. This is not a new sensation for you. In fact, it is your default setting. When you walk down a crowded street, you instinctively scan for the path of least resistance. You wear headphones, not just to listen to music, but to signal a boundary, a "do not disturb" sign hung upon your very existence. When your phone rings, you feel a spike of adrenaline, not excitement, but a specific kind of dread, an intrusion. You watch the screen light up, waiting for the ringing to stop so you can return to the safety of silence. You prefer to text, where you can edit, curate, and control the transmission of your personality. You have built a fortress, an inner citadel. To the outside observer, you might appear shy, quiet, or perhaps aloof. They might tell you to come out of your shell. They interpret your silence as emptiness. But you and I know the truth. It is not empty in there. It is crowded. Inside your citadel, there is a constant running commentary. You are analyzing micro-expressions. You are replaying conversations from 5 years ago, dissecting what you should have said. You are simulating future scenarios to ensure you are never caught off guard. You have constructed high walls, not because you hate the world, but because you feel it too intensely. You are protecting a core that feels dangerously exposed. But there is a cost to this fortification, isn't there? The exhaustion. The sheer metabolic cost of lowering the drawbridge for even a few hours. The feeling that social interaction is a performance art for which you never memorized the script. And the lingering, quiet fear that perhaps you have built the walls so high that you have forgotten where the door is. You are safe, but you are also entirely alone. Welcome to the psychology of the inner citadel. The world has a lot of names for people like you. They label you avoidant. They call you antisocial. They diagnose your preference for solitude as a defect, a glitch in the software of a hyper-connected society. They tell you that participation is the metric of health, and that your silence is a symptom of something broken. Let me be very clear. They are wrong. What society calls avoidance, we recognize as preservation. Consider the environment you are asked to inhabit. We live in an era of infinite noise, a digital panopticon where every thought must be published, every meal documented, and every emotion performed for an audience of strangers. Attention has become the world's most valuable currency, and silence is treated as a threat to the economy of validation. In such a world, building an inner citadel is not a sickness. It is an immune response. You are not retreating because you are weak. You are retreating because you are sensitive to the signal-to-noise ratio of modern life. Those who live entirely outside the citadel, the ones who post incessantly, who cannot sit alone in a room for 5 minutes without checking a notification, they are the ones who have lost their boundaries. They are porous. They have no self left to protect. They are merely reflections of the crowd. But you have kept something for yourself. This behavior you feel shameful about, the way you screen calls, the way you ghost group chats, the way you need 3 days to recover from a party, is not a malfunction. It is digital asceticism. You are intuitively practicing a form of energetic rationing. You understand, perhaps subconsciously, that your energy is finite. Every interaction punctures the hull of your ship. Every notification is a leak. So, you raise the walls. You pull up the drawbridge. Society tries to shame you for this. They try to convince you that you are missing out. But deep down, you know the truth. You aren't missing out on connection. You are filtering out the static. You are not hiding from reality. You are refusing to participate in a reality that is fundamentally artificial. So, let us drop the guilt. You do not need to apologize for your walls. A castle without walls is just a ruin, and you are still standing. But to truly understand why you built this citadel, we must dig beneath the surface. We must look for the hidden variables governing your architecture. You did not wake up one day and decide to be isolated. No architecture exists without a purpose. From the perspective of developmental determinism, your inner citadel is likely an artifact of your past. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where the emotional climate was volatile, a chaotic weather system of parental moods or social rejection. As a child, you could not leave the house. You could not fight back. So you did the only thing a powerless sovereign can do. You retreated inward. You learned, very early on, that the only territory you could truly govern, the only place where the laws of physics made sense, was the space inside your own skull. The citadel was not a prison then. It was a sanctuary. It saved you. However, what served as a shield in childhood often becomes a heavy burden in adulthood. You are now carrying a fortress on your back. But before you try to tear it down, listen to the Stoics. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled the known world yet felt profoundly alone, spoke of the inner citadel. To him, this withdrawal was not a weakness, but the ultimate source of strength. He wrote that the world can touch your body, it can take your reputation, it can ruin your finances, but it can never touch your ruling faculty, the hegemonicon, unless you let it. Your ability to withdraw is a superpower. It means you possess self-sovereignty. While others are slaves to the algorithm, slaves to the opinions of the crowd, you retain the ability to step back and consult your own reason. But I know what you are thinking. If this is a superpower, why does it hurt? Why does it feel like I am rotting? This brings us to the most crucial concept, nigredo. In Jungian alchemy, nigredo, or the blackening, is the first stage of the magnum opus, the creation of the philosopher's stone. It is the stage of decomposition. It is dark. It is heavy. It feels like depression. It feels like death. But it is necessary. A seed cannot become a tree unless it first destroys itself in the darkness of the soil. The caterpillar must dissolve into a chaotic soup within the chrysalis before it can reassemble into a butterfly. The isolation you feel right now, that is not emptiness. That is incubation. You are in the nigredo phase. Your inner citadel is the alchemical vessel, the vas hermeticum, where this transformation is taking place. You are being cooked in your own silence. Society sees a person rotting in bed or wasting their potential. But philosophically, you are stripping away the false layers of the persona. You are confronting the shadow. You are suffering because you are growing something new, something that requires absolute protection from the contamination of the outside world to form. So, do not despise your walls. They are holding the heat in. They are allowing the reaction to complete. The pain you feel is not a sign that you are broken. It is the friction of a deep soul trying to remain solid in a liquid world. It is the evidence that the process is working. So, here is my invitation to you. You do not need to tear down your walls today. The world is still too loud, and your work inside the citadel is not yet finished. But perhaps, just for this moment, you can lower the drawbridge a few inches. The comments section below is not a public square. It is a sanctuary. It is a gathering of other architects who have built similar fortresses. I want you to leave a record of your architecture. What does your inner citadel look like? Is it a library where you hoard knowledge to feel prepared? A high tower where you observe without being seen? Or perhaps a bunker where you simply rest? Write it down. Share the design of your solitude. By naming the walls, you prove that you are the master of them, not the prisoner. And you might find that you are not the only one living in a castle of one. You are safe here.